We are live.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Leanne?
I am good, thank you. And you?
Good. Yeah, going fine. And it does say, yes, we're live in mytimetv.live. The other factor is, oh my, there's some interesting pages showing that are live.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm going to actually close my Facebook. I don't want to check it. Well, I had
It gets like that.
I had enough of a goof up this morning already. Besides that, like I was woken at 4 o'clock this morning by some spirit who shall remain nameless at this point. I know who, you know who, and it'll be fun following that up. 4 o'clock, and then I couldn't go back to sleep. I thought, well, what's on the computer that I'm supposed to do? Because that's usually the first thought, right? Something I've left undone, I've got to get and do it. That's why I woke up. But I sort of knew it was another reason. And anyway, as I'm trying to work that out, it started getting cold, so I went back to bed because you don't stay up from 4 o'clock until the rest of your day. That's dumb. Well, it was cold, so I got up again to get another blanket to get warm again. I read for about half an hour, and I thought, no, that feels nice and warm. Well, I slept until 8:30. You know when my daily readings are?
Isn't it about 8 o'clock or 8:30?
So I totally missed the scheduled post event thing, you know, the thing that does into Be Live. Missed that. So I'll do it with it can. So I tried it again, just off the fly. Well, I went and used Restream instead of Facebook, didn't I? Which means I don't know where it went, but next thing there's Twitch coming up. And Shaz had got the notification via Twitch that I was online. So there we were having a conversation and doing a reading on Twitch. And I think, well, it was supposed to. It said YouTube and Facebook, but it wasn't doing the lives there. So there's something I did wrong this morning, and I thought, bugger it. And did another one on my time, just a real quick, short 10-minute one.
You got there. That was the main thing.
I did. That was interesting. I did that one by Be Live, which is what we're on at the moment.
Yeah.
I know how to use Be Live. It's a different thing. I'm going to be keeping it up to scratch, like getting that moving forward as being one of the main live stream platforms.
Yeah. Excellent.
To see you here. You've had a good
Me too.
Last week that you weren't able to get to?
Yeah, it's been hectic. So got everything sorted and in place and working on that list to do. It's crazy when you think with these restrictions and that you can actually step back. It's like, I think when I've surrendered to that, okay, I've thrown my hands in the air, I can't, we can't do a normal sort of thing. That's okay. I'm going to take some me time, which has been really nice to focus on me and exercise and stuff like that. So, but now it's just like everything's mad. I just seem to be in front of the computer all the time, which is good. But, yeah, still not getting much of my list done. Other things are popping up. Things are changing. We change. So, which I think is positive. So that's good.
Well, the the to-do list really does tend to grow more as the ideas develop. Because you've got to actually sit back and think more of, what do I actually want to be doing? What is the forward? Oh, goodness. So, I mean, as part of that last night, I did have the start of my first ever online course with a Zoom.
Oh, excellent. How'd you go?
I had fun. Look,
excellent.
What number that you have, plus anything is a number. So, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I dare say that the other people's, well, there's still chance for more to join in too, really. And that's where I'm going to actually put the link in there straight before I forget, because I've copied it. So it's the, you know how I like to do things unscripted and fly by the pants, obviously, what this morning was.
I'm all for that.
And oh my, like, it really was. I had intended to do some practice with Zoom because it's been a long time since I've actually used Zoom, and there has been quite a few changes compared to being in on a meeting that someone else is hosting and hosting one yourself.
Yeah.
So I had some interesting fun with that, and it's all good. It just means that there's a nice amount of learning I'm needing to do, having some fun playing with it,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It was good, and went through as I was expecting. It was that. Oh, I put that link there, and it's shown up as My Time TV, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, just saw that. So that actually is, and it means absolutely nothing, doesn't it? So
put a comment with it.
Cards, an intuitive way and I'll put a short 4-week. Oh, well, it's now 3-week course. Hopefully that turns up underneath that direct link. It's
yes, it did.
It's things like that I'm doing that I sort of think, oh, God, where's your head? Like, there are times where I do wonder the chaotic nature of what sometimes is the brain and thought processes.
Yeah.
How the heck do you function sometimes? How do I function sometimes? Am I functioning? Or is it just my perception in my own little world?
Could be a mixture. But so we're going through changes at the moment. Energy shifts has been a really big one in the last 20 or 12 hours, I think it is actually. So we've now got 3 planets in retrograde. So I say hold on to our hats.
I better look up my astrology. I don't keep that up to date every day.
Yeah, we've just had a major shift, so it's going to be good. So I see it to be a positive thing because I think those that choose to sit in the light and that energy are really going to move forward.
Yeah,
sort of thing. Those that find themselves being more stuck and sort of feeling down, stuck, emotional, all that sort of thing. Feeling the challenges are going to find it a bit harder. So, yeah.
So, there was something that went in my head then. Went into it. It was around the astrology tools. What I tend to focus on mostly for my guidance has been the cards lately, as you're aware. Obviously, I've been doing them for over a year on a daily basis. I do actually have an astrology program, Solar and the Astro Gold that's on the Apple thing. What's that? iPad.
Yeah. Actually, I should reload it on mine too.
And even the Mac. So I've got that, but I don't use that as a tool as much because I haven't put the practice into it. I know that you've done a course yourself as well on astrology. So
I got 3/4 of the way through it. I haven't finished it yet.
Hey, that's okay.
That's it.
Because I've got a lot of UFOs too.
Yeah. The worst thing for me is signing up for courses like that. It's work through your own pace and it's there. Once you pay for it, it's there. It's the same as a counselling course that I started. They shouldn't say that it's there forever. They should give me a timeline.
Yeah, well, I've actually had incidents of a few of that type of course. Instead of UFOs, that's unfinished objects, isn't it? Usually in the scene. Well, what do you call it? UFCs, unfinished courses. Yeah, because I've had that where they offer it is a lifetime through, the existence of the course and access and etc. And then you go to access it another time. Not so much that I've forgotten passwords and access. That the what's the first one? You put in your entry keyword or whatever, and then you do the PIN number or a password.
Oh, yeah.
I have
username.
Been able to get them back. That's fine, but it's when you do that, you go to all that bother, and then they've taken it down, and you sort of think that was lifetime access. I'm absolutely sure of it. Now it's gone. You sort of really hang on, and you've got to back it up.
That's the thing.
This one's got a tag on it that's actually scratching. It's like the irritations of a mosquito in the night.
Oh, yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. Irritating.
Yeah, sometimes those factors are irritating that you do pay for a course that's got lifetime access and they take it down. Haven't had too many, but it happens. And I'm not even looking at the comments. Sorry, people, for not looking at the comments. I haven't put any up, have I? Because a lot of there's two of them there, is there? Anyway.
Hey, honey.
Hi to Sharp Tea. How are you? Look, we do have, there's always going to be the questions, because what we have with our show is that recognition that we are answering questions at some point in the show. Now, whether that happens or not for the day-to-day, who knows? Because what it is actually potluck. Like, sometimes we'll get to answering questions, sometimes not. Now, last week, now that one is a question there. I'll leave that one, and there is some more questions. Hi to you, Ashton. That's not to answer the question.
Hey, honey.
Say, unless you want to. Medication help me. Hello, ladies. Will this medication help me conceive? I'm getting a yes, but various consequences. And I'll just share a itty-bitty little story with you from my own experience many years ago. And I don't know what the medication is that you're taking, Ashton, but when I was in my younger years, I was only about 23. I did have a miscarriage and had follow-up from that. And what drug I was put on to help with that fertility flow was Clomid. I gather that's still the one that is actively used today for fertility and helping with that. What they didn't tell me at the time was it actually helps produce more hair on the face. And yes, it can tip your hormone balance. Yeah. You just need to have it under the guidance of specialists, not just a GP, which mine was just given under a GP, specialist. Follow up. Like, just be aware that with every drug there is pros and cons. That's all I'm going to say with that one, because I've been dealing with hairy face for the rest of my life. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because I went on that one as well, but I was done through a fertility clinic sort of thing, but I only spent 2 months on it. So, I
had 1.5 courses because it was Easter for the second course. The chemists were shut. They'd run out of supply. They didn't have it. And I ended up saying, bugger it. I used a different word at the time. And then it was 18 months, 2 years later, it was a natural conception. So, So
can I just touch on pregnancy, because that is a common one that we get now. People who have watched me for a while probably have heard that I've had my own fertility issues, but I now have 2 beautiful girls. Okay, so I went through all that. It took years to get pregnant, and with my oldest one, I did have to go through to Reaper-Med, and we went on the Clomid and stuff like that. The second one, I went through the stages of taking hormone injections every day for certain days of the month and stuff like that. Didn't work, hurt my back. I gave up on trying while I got my body right and fell pregnant myself, sort of thing, without sort of realizing I was even pregnant for a month and a half, 2 months, or whatever it was. But I'm a big believer now, looking back on the situation, when we are wanting to get pregnant and it's not working, for myself, and I can only talk from my own experience, it's kind of like you get desperate. You want it so much. Everybody around me was getting pregnant. I was emotional seeing pregnant women and stuff like that. So it was quite it was probably a 2.5, 3 year journey the first time when I wanted to get pregnant. I think we can create those blocks in our body because we want something so desperately, so much, sort of thing. So I always advise people these days, focus on the connection between you and your partner, not the outcome. All right, have fun, reconnect. My husband used to say he was just like a robot. I'd drag him off to bed every night of the month and go, right, we're going to do it, sort of thing. So for him, he was quite relieved when we got that positive test, because he got a break for a little while in that sense. But it starts to become like you are a machine. You are, the focus on it, obsession of it sort of thing. And I would say I was obsessed about getting pregnant because I wanted that so much in my life. I once said to a lady here in my local town, she said to me, she asked the same question, when am I going to get pregnant? I said to her, and I don't know why I keep telling this story, but Spirit keeps bringing it up. I said to her, have yourself and your husband be like two kids in a playground. Have fun. Let that inner child come out and have fun while you're doing it. And in the way you do it. A couple of months later, I remember walking into the place that she worked and I looked at her and I went, you're pregnant. She just had that glow. She goes, yeah, I'm 8 weeks pregnant. And guess what? And before she even opened her mouth, I think my mouth hit the counter. She said, we went out on the playground and we did it. Now, saying that, I am not advising people to go out into playgrounds and get up to mischief. I want to say have fun doing it. Don't make it about the pregnancy and why we've got to do it. Make it about the connection, the love. Go back to basics. Because I was actually talking to a client a couple of days ago where him and his wife are trying to get pregnant, and Spirit sort of, as I said to him about, be romantic about the way you go around it. Make it feel good. I'm actually thinking with what Spirit showed me the other day, when we do move into that more romantic mode, it kind of triggers a hormone in the brain, is what Spirit's telling me, that helps that. Okay, so I want to say have fun, be romantic, make it about the connection and celebrating the union between the two of you rather than focus on the pregnancy. And I believe our bodies relax when we do things like that, as well as setting off those hormones.
Yeah, I mean there's a very good reason why it's actually called lovemaking.
Yeah,
it comes from that base. When it comes from that base, there really is that deeper connection that does trigger the body into being receptive for whatever is needed to be for procreation. It's part of what makes us a bit different from what is just the animal instinct. So I think that's where there is that difference. And make love. Create that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. And, it helps move those blocks. It helps balance us.
Yes. Hi, Emma.
Sit still your mind, become one with yourself.
And I think that's where it does need to start too, is actually with self.
Yep.
And you can know what you're actually wanting out of that connection in the relationship as well. And I'm just moving through some names here, Latika. Oh dear. Yeah, it's just been very interesting. Now, hi, Diane. Diane's regular.
Hey,
sorry about not being on time this morning. It's one of the regulars showing up for the daily message. And Lee and Corey. Oh, Lee. Okay. Anything, please, Leanne. We'll get to that at some point. Unless you want to hop into that now, because
I'll go with the flow.
Was that one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of more of a general question.
Isn't it?
So what we usually ask people to do is ask more of a direct question, so we can sort of get more of you. But Lee, I feel like there's changes going on around you, honey, at the moment, and you need to allow that flow to move. Stop. I feel that you're very much in your own head. So I do get the feeling that is about grounding yourself. Allow that energy to move and things will start to flow in the right direction. Okay. You've got a lot of love and support around you on the other side. You feel that there. So I get the reference to they are. Okay.
And I just pulled a card, which I'll share as, I thought I was doing a solo. I was just turning it on. What you've got there is the ring card. So it is actually two, being deciding to actually put some commitment into you. Because it can flow on from what we were talking about as far as commitments too. Not commitments, but our relationships with yourself first as well.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think now is the best time to do that. We're being forced to sort of go back to us because we've been stripped of everything pretty much with all these, blockages and stuff, like restrictions and stuff like that. So what else have we got to focus on to a degree is us. And when we do that, that's where we're going to find things are going to move.
Yeah. And it's very interesting with the book that I am reading currently on the bedside table, which is what I had brought up last week. I think what I did was take people through the breathing exercise that was in that book. It was
Oh, wonderful.
life workbook.
Yeah.
So it's falling into place. Why was that book there at the time it was? You know, all sorts of things falling into place as you'd be aware of how we connect with our psychic side and, you know, the mediumship and everything.
Yeah.
The synchronicity of timing with so many things is just so interesting in my view. So this morning it really was about our perception and opening ourselves, the section that I was reading, and opening ourselves to being aware of what we are blocking because of our belief system and it being out of date as a belief system, and needing to know that we need to be more open and aware. It's just
for sure.
You know, that half hour I did read while I was trying to get warm. Oh, wow, maybe I should use that as the subject. But even now, from that time, from the 5 o'clock or 5:30 to now, I've forgotten what I've read, but it's still there. So it's that knowingness, I suppose, really, in what we actually experience in our lives. We don't ever forget. It's just that it's placed in the, you know, that was then.
The vault. I explain it like a vault. And that's why I sort of
forget where I put it if I did that.
That's it. That's the thing, like, I'm not much of a reader, but lately I have been getting into reading and doing research and different stuff like that. I've always said that I'm no good. I can remember what was on the last page, but give me 2 pages or 3 pages ago, I don't remember it. But I see it like I've got this big vault in the back of my head that I put the information in there, and when I need to pull on it, I seem to be able to pull on it. I know what it is to say and do, sort of thing. But if you ask me what a book was about, I'll know if I liked it or I didn't, but I couldn't tell you what the content was in that book, sort of thing. So it's weird the way we work. Very different.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because I'm sort of thinking, I'm not sure whether I'd cross-post it, because usually we do have a lot of comments flowing through, and you will have noticed there's not as many as we usually have. Have I cross-posted? I've closed out my Facebook page and have no idea.
I've got mine open.
You've got yours open. Can you check whether it's cross-posted? Because I scheduled this and I'm sure I'd put it into cross-posting, but the way that I'm been organising things at the moment, I might not
have. I'll have a look here in the background while we're talking.
I can't see it, so I do find, because over the years, the kids have, at some point in time in my life, I came to the recognition, look, I'm not going to be, for self, I'm not going to be too worried about what my memory's doing, because it's, you know, I would have basically labelled it as shit. I couldn't remember anything. There'd been meetings that I'd missed because I'd totally forgotten about them. And this was back in the days, school days, when the kids were at school and I was heavily involved in, you know, the parents and friends or whatever it was called, the welfare club, that sort of thing, and lots of other stuff, parish council with the church and all sorts of things, and I'd forget meetings and important things, doctor's appointments, stuff like that. So at some point in life, that when Nemo was the movie that the kids would watch a lot, they nicknamed me Dory. So I decided I'd forget about that. I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't let it bother me. The things that I'm meant to remember will crop up into the mind, and that's how I've been treating it. I don't sort of think of it as the memory fault, because, like I said, it'd probably be the kids going away forgotten or something. It's what we actually need at the right point in time will come before us, and we need to start to trust that. And that's one of the things I have been doing over time. And even as far as you know, we get so hung up with some of the statistics at times with what we get in our live feeds or our, you know, Facebook channels or a YouTube and the rest. Because I've been watching a few, there's, you know, with this coronavirus and all the rest, and people needing to stay home more and getting online more and actually going live more, you know, the statistics around the growth in numbers. People seem to be going back to that counting, you know, to having the importance in numbers and what's shared and who said what and who said that and all of that sort of interaction. I'm thinking, that's not the important side of life. you know,
That's the thing. I think we focus on what we do.
yeah, be present with who you are, what you're doing, what you want to have in your, what's close to you, not what's out there. You get what I mean? You get what I mean?
I do, because I know I have a lot of people that watch me, and you know, there's some negative energies out there and whatnot, and they go blah blah blah. Who gives a damn, sort of thing. It, you know, it really is about what you're doing in the moment. A friend of ours, Mandy, Ros, you know how she always said, it's their monkey. If you said something or you were talking about something, she'd go, it's their monkey. And that's true. It's their monkey. It's their problem. It's not yours.
Not my service.
And I occasionally hear Mandy's voice in my head still going, it's their monkey, which is great. So we must catch up with her today.
Yeah, do. We did. Oh, we're nearly halfway through a year and we still haven't caught up for Christmas.
I know. It's crazy.
So fast.
Yeah, that's it. So
the other interesting point that I do hear in my mind from Mandy is basically, well, that's an interesting opinion.
Yeah.
Or point of view. Actually,
point of view, that was it. Yeah.
View.
I love it.
Oh, that's an interesting opinion. Because when we ultimately get down to anything, it is only our opinion. It's only their opinion. None of it, absolutely none of it, can be proven as an absolute truth, because each and every one of us has that different perspective and understanding of what is truth even. So you know, what is real? You start looking in quantum physics and that really blows your mind.
That's it. So,
wow.
All right. We are cross-posted now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's
so
it.
Done it?
Yeah, it hadn't been done. That's all right.
So now that it's cross-posted, and for anybody out there who is actually looking at it on the pages of Leanne Winston Psychic Medium, Be Live in 5, Hypnosis Plus with Ros.
Yeah, and Ros Bounty.
Ros Bounty and
Body, Mind and Spirit.
So that would be it.
Yeah.
So there's those pages. If it looks like your comments aren't being seen or answered, it's likely they're not. Click over into mytimetv.live. So that's where you need to be to have your comments or questions. Did I do that right?
Yes. The link is above.
It's in the description, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I presume so. I didn't look. I would say usually you put it there.
Yeah, I haven't got my Facebook open. I did do something first up. I edited to put the direct link to the My Time with numbers behind it, so it should be.
Yeah, it would be there then.
It better be there. Really much up.
I didn't check that, but if that's what you did, yeah, it would be there then.
I think I have.
So yeah, beautiful.
So, you know, with all the stuff that seems to be floating around as to, you know, what sort of stuff do I need to be remembering to do, because that to-do list is growing.
Yeah.
With yours then. Like,
yeah.
You've got a growing list and it's been really busy. How do you actually work through it?
I try to stay focused on one thing at a time at the moment, because it seems every time I cross one thing off, I seem to get 4 more to replace it in that sense. And in the past, I've tried to balance too many things at once, where with all these changes just recently, I'm actually going, right, this is the top of the list. This is the most important. I need to get this done. Like I've got a lovely group of girls that I'm doing a refresher course on beginners psychic medium development on the weekend, because they haven't done my first one, but they've studied with somebody else and they want to do my second, but they'd like to do a refresher. So today and tomorrow is my day to build that workshop. You know, I've got all the information. I just need to pull on bits and pieces and turn it into a 1-day instead of a 2-day sort of thing. So for me, it's just finding a balance with that and focusing on that. Like yesterday, I had a few phone calls that I had to catch up and reschedule, like the drumming workshop that had to be sort of put off because of the restrictions and stuff like that. So yesterday was actually good, because I went, right, I've got to make this call, and this call in between catching up with people online and stuff, I was able to do that. So it was actually a good feeling when things start to move and you're starting to, get order into stuff. So, and I think that's really important at the moment, is to find that balance.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, I think too, like as a method to put something into what for you is your system of working through a to-do list. Mine is a little bit more erratic, but it still does start from a list. I mean, I've got, a little notebook that's got, as I need to, I'll write the little notes down and work through them. It's sort of a list in its way. It's growing that self-discipline, I suppose, to actually stay focused for the one task on hand.
Makes a difference.
It does. And actually, well, I say that word trying, and that's a naughty, because then you're not actually doing. So it's more changing that perspective and focus for me around on doing this. It's not on trying to get it finished. I'm doing this, and it does progress to being completed. So, or finished, which for me, the course that I was started yesterday, I mean, I only finished the finer detail of writing up the, a slide sheet or whatever thing it's called, slideshow, that thing.
PowerPoint,
right, that type of thing. I don't do death by PowerPoint either. I pointed it out to them as I started. I said, this isn't a death by PowerPoint show. It still needs some form of resource for anything that we do. We need to actually get in to organise those things to make it flow. I mean, even with what we do when we get out of bed first thing in the morning, we have our own patterns of how we move into our day. They do become habits.
Yeah.
And that's why I mention that, is because the way that we've usually done this show, it's moved into almost a format of we'd have the chat and then roughly around 11 we start doing the readings.
That's it. Ros, I'm just seeing a comment there from Latika at 11:01. It's a question more on the spiritual side.
Yep.
Sort of thing, rather than the guidance. So, yeah. So can you please read this? It's important to me. When did you find out that you had a special gift with being able to have spiritual connections? Because before my dad passed away, he had a special gift, spiritual ways. People thought he was crazy, but I didn't like to talk about it. People are very judgmental, but I think when he passed, it got passed on to me. Now it does in my, like for me, and I can only give you advice on like my side of things. For me, it's something that I've always had from a child. As long as I can possibly remember, I remember seeing other people, and I just thought it was normal in the way that others seen it as well. My family, like my parents have always told me, I always used to sleep talk and sleepwalk. I don't know how many times I tried to walk through the brick wall following spirit and wake up with lumps on my head, but that's all part and parcel of the learning side of it. For me, when I look back at my family history, my dad's side of the family is certainly quite intuitive. My dad's quite intuitive, but he now, when he comes to work, because mum and dad travel with me at times and help me when I'm doing expos with my stock and store and stuff, dad is becoming more open to the information that he gets, and quite often we'll have chats now where he senses things in his sleep and stuff like that. But I know, going back through the family history, when you go back about 3 generations from my dad, he had an aunt that was reading, like in the actual family history, it says that she did tea leaf reading, sort of thing. So back in those days, she would have been known as a witch. So I do believe that we all have this ability. It's just through our conditioning, our upbringing, that we get closed down, sort of thing. So I get, yes, honey, that is there. Sometimes for me, I was pregnant with my oldest daughter that is now nearly 21. That really heightened my ability. As much as I'd seen stuff and knew stuff as a child, I think through my teens I closed that down because I didn't feel that I fitted in with, the kids at school and different stuff like that. So I got to a point in my life where I think the pregnancy sort of kick-started that. I started seeing things more physically and that. So I believe, and as a mentor, I quite often say to my students, you will normally find there's a time in your life that something shifts that opens this up. I believe it comes more clearer when we need it to, and we move a lot of stuff in our lives. We also need to learn through our life and have our, what I call our reference Bible sort of thing. We've got to live, we've got to experience things to be able to reference it, to be able to connect those things together to give the messages at the same time. So, yeah. What about yourself, Ros? What did you find with your, because you sort of come from more of a religious upbringing.
It certainly was a reasonably strict Methodist upbringing. So there wasn't the playing of cards on Sundays and stuff like that. You went to church, and you certainly had to sometimes 2 services because Dad was a lay preacher and following through. And that was a family history back fairly deep into the history of it. But one of the things that triggered for me, and I'm looking at a clock that says 11:11, it's out of time. It's not in the right time, but I saw the 11:11. It was that. Yeah, it was that switch for me, really, of just the awareness of seeing the ghostly figures and thinking, oh, wow, not sure what that is. I didn't feel that I had any gift or anything of any sort because it's not what our belief system was being taught as far as the Methodist Church, not. But it certainly was that I knew there was something other. And in my further discoveries and growing into myself and the awareness of, yes, everybody's got an intuitive side, and there is, for everybody, there is the ability to actually open that up to more depth and being connected in what we label as psychic and mediumship. We can all do it. But it's not necessary for everybody to do it. We have what is our different needs, and we'll be shown when it's the right time. And that's when you said, as far as, you know, for you, it was the pregnancy really opening it up in a strength that you knew you were trusting that connection and having those messages come in. For me, it was probably a bit slower, but it certainly, I closed it down when my dad found I'd bought a tarot deck with my pocket money and it was evil, and that was it. So I'd closed it down deliberately from that time in teenage years until it probably was the pregnancy, first pregnancy, and starting to delve into the marvel of what nature is and all things natural and our abilities to actually connect on all of the different levels that we have available to us. It's natural. So why is it that we're closing down to it? It's because it's not what we've been taught. It's part of our belief system and all the rest of it. So
yeah, and she makes a good point there, because she states that people thought her dad was crazy. Now that is quite common, because I know for myself, when I started seeing things, my husband thought I was losing it, because I was waking him up through the night going, there's people standing beside our bed. I had him checking windows, doors and stuff to make sure they were locked and closed in that sense. Another friend of mine that actually became a bit of a mentor to me as I started to open up in the way she had a small business and ran some meditation workshops. For her, I know her family thought she was having a nervous breakdown because she was seeing these things and feeling it and stuff like that. Unfortunately for myself, probably yourself, Ros, and for a lovely friend that I was just talking about, we didn't have people around us back those days to help us explain or understand it. I was just fortunate. One day I had a friend doing my hair, and I commented to her, because I know she was quite open to this stuff, you know, this is what's happening. Paul thinks I'm losing my marbles. I don't know. You know, I was getting a little bit frantic at the fact that these things were scaring me through the night. And she said, talk to him, sort of thing. So I was lucky I had Debbie to sort of say to me, you know, speak to him. It's okay. This is normal, sort of thing. And I tell you what, that day I spoke to him, I think I shocked the one that was there. He was more scared the fact that I could see him than I was that I spoke to him and he reacted. And it just opened the floodgates from there. So, you know, as much as I had it as a child, there was that innocence as a child. There was no conditioning that had been put on me at that stage, sort of thing. So it's quite interesting. And something I've noticed over the last 10 odd years or so with working with people it's very common to find that people with anxiety and depression can be highly intuitive. So, I'm all for, yes, there is the stigma of mental health, but I think that line gets blurred between what is intuition and in mental health sometimes. Sometimes the two can cross, they can become blurred. You can be intuitive and have that mental health. So, if you're somebody that suffers with mental health, anxiety, depression type of thing, maybe ask yourself, is this mine? A yes or a no answer in your head. Because if you get yes, then it is yours, it's mental health or whatever that sort of, you seek doctors help and whatnot. If you get back no, acknowledge it and let it go. Because if it's not yours, you're taking it on, because as intuitive, and yourself, Ros, we can carry other people's energy, something chronic sort of thing. So it is really important to let that stuff go. So if it's not as, and you acknowledge it's not yours, give gratitude, send it back to the universe, you should find that anxiety backs off. If it doesn't, there's more there. Okay.
And just then on the computer, it was giving me the 1111.
Spiritual number. I love it.
It's not all as. And
yeah.
It's exactly that. It's the recognition and knowing of that. I had to giggle when you said about losing your marbles, because that was actually in this afterlife guidebook thing that I'm reading. As far as the belief system, it is like we've got marbles that are inner marbles that are labelled, and in that instance, it was belief about falling off a ladder. You stop yourself from climbing it because you're fearful of falling off the ladder, and there's little marbles to that. And it was once you actually tell that inner self, like that distant, you're being a witness, but it's an inner self, another aspect of you, saying, I'm not going up that ladder because we'll fall off. And you yourself is saying, in answer back, you're saying, no, it's going to be all right. I want to climb this ladder because I need to get to the painting or something like that, or the globe or something like that. And you're convincing it. So by changing that belief, by this inner conversation, you're actually losing your marbles.
That's it. And it's really interesting you say that, Ros, in that sense, because sometimes we have the fear of, climbing the ladder because it's dangerous, it's got the potential. For myself, I will do something and I can see the end result sort of thing. So if I was to climb the ladder and say it was going to fall, I would see myself falling. But most times, and over the years, there's certain things, and I still do it today. I walk through the shopping centre and I can see two kids standing in a shopping trolley and mum's pushing. I see it going over and I'm thinking, well, I can't go up and say, excuse me, you shouldn't do that because that's dangerous type of thing. That's their lesson. They need to learn it, and that's on mum sort of thing. That's her choice to let her children do it. But and I just sort of walk away and go, okay, I acknowledge it. I don't want to know about it. But my dad, many years ago, I think I was like year 9 at high school, I remember mum picking us up from school and going, we've got to go straight to Adelaide. Dad's in hospital. My dad was a fitter and turner back those days with his own business, and he had an automatic lathe where it just ran automatically and he stood there. And I remember getting down to the hospital, and when he was sort of come around, or it may have even been the next morning when we picked him up because he had to have surgery, he says, I knew I was going to do it. And he still tells the story to today when we start talking about this stuff. He knew he was going to cut the top of his thumb off. And I always say to him, so why didn't you move your finger? I don't know. Sort of thing. He knew the slide goes back and forward. If your finger is over that ledge, and of course it's going to take the top of your thumb off. But that's the thing. Yeah. His intuition was telling him he's about to lose his finger, but it's not like the mind kicks in and says, oh shit, I should move my hand to stop that. It was his journey. He got a couple of weeks off of work, pin in his finger, but and things happen for a reason.
And sort of thing. We can change that result if we're seeing that as being that path. We actually can change it, but and that's where we've actually enacted that choice by not deciding to change it. Because it's part of what we've organised somewhere, which I figure is the afterlife, that
Yeah.
other side where we do our soul contracts. Yeah, all very interesting, isn't it?
That's it. And see, that's the thing. Like, I've got a 16-year-old that's learning how to drive. We went to visit my mum for Mother's Day, and they live a bit out off the river because they live on a houseboat. The road is quite windy. I know myself what speed to take because I've travelled that road many times. My daughter's a little bit more inexperienced, so as we're coming in the corners, I'm going slow down. She goes, "Mum, stop telling me to slow down." I'm like, but I can see at this speed, if you keep going and knowing what that curb's like, you're going to hit the gravel. You're going to lose control. But she doesn't get that sort of thing because she knows everything. But,
Plus,
like all 16-year-olds.
Yeah, she hasn't had that physical experience.
No, that's it.
Down.
Yeah. But what she doesn't realise is I picture that. I see that in my head like it's already happening.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It's the same like if somebody passes in a car accident and I'm reading for them in spirit. I get a movie like I'm looking at a big driving screen inside my head, watching what they see, how it rolls, if there's dust or if there's sunlight or dirt, it's dark or whatever. If I'm throwing it they're thrown out of the car, I talk like it's me. So, I see those physical things.
Person as it's going through you.
Yeah.
In a mirror, in a movie. Yeah.
That's it. It's like it's my body, but I'm looking through their eyes.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So, it's quite interesting.
Well, it is because I see it as if I'm watching a movie, not that I'm in that place, but I see I'm watching the movie.
Yeah.
Just that slight difference in how we get our signals.
That's it. That's a really good point because we work differently. I'm always saying to my students, I'm here to help you work out how you work and strengthen that, not tell you how to do it, sort of thing. So, that's it. Because Ros and I could be picking up on the same spirit, but that information may be coming to us in a different manner, but it's still got the same meaning, type of thing.
Yeah.
Probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah, I just saw one that says, "Can I please ask if I'm correct?" Oh, this is Sharpty. Gee, sorry, I'm just flipping.
Oh, good. Yeah, we have got a bit carried away today, haven't we?
Oh, look, sometimes that does work. Now, this isn't it's not the one I actually saw. Sharpty has put it earlier up there, so I will put the first one that she's put up because it was information she's receiving on S is more accurate. Info on A is getting on S. That sounds so totally confusing. Do you understand it?
Could I please ask if the information I am receiving on the S is more accurate, or is the info on info A is getting on S more accurate? When I get trust your instincts, honey, with that. Okay, so if you're getting that information, trust that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same too. Goodness. Yeah, there's so many. I don't know why, but I'm sort of just feeling like I just feel like rolling up and down with doing that.
It's called going with the flow.
There's one. Veronica's saying good morning. How are you?
Good morning, honey.
And I think we did. Did I put up Diane's? I did because that's when it reminded me about the crossbows thing. Whoopsie. Yeah. Scott, is there any messages from Mum for me? Now, with that spell, I think you might be over on the other half.
Yeah, beautiful. You have to let us know where you're watching from, Scott. All right, I got a beautiful energy with Mum, a very soft, loving energy. She's got her hand on her heart, which is my sign for love and pride for yourself as well. I also need to acknowledge the birthday, the anniversary of the celebration that has either just literally been or about to be. I actually feel I want to congratulate or happy birthday in that way with that. Mum makes me feel that she stays on top of things still from the other side. So to me, still very much aware. You connect with her in your dreams. So I want to say acknowledge those dreams as well. Okay. See, Ros has pulled a card.
Yes, and I'm playing with the buttons. I forgot which way round they are. So the card that was pulled for you, Scott's actually about the bridges, so crossing the bridge. So when you actually know that that's time, you do need to make that move. Don't hesitate. Instead of leaving it for that one that's in the distance, for there, cross there. So that's what I'm actually getting. And it's just about decisions that you're needing to make. And I think that's how I do that. And we go back to that.
Sure. Ros, I just seen Shakti just put there, thank you, honeys. I've always liked to get to confirmations. I appreciate it. Now, you can do that yourself, honey. I used to do that myself when I used to, because I always say to my students, trust and surrender is a really important thing. When I used to question myself, because it is learning about what's the fine line between ours and theirs and other people's energy information in that sense, I got into the habit myself, and this is just something that I found worked for me. I would ask the question, they'd give me the answer. If I didn't trust that at that time, I would ask that question in another wording. And if I got the same answer again, I knew to trust it. Okay. So that was just something that I practiced in doing in that sense. All right. So you don't need to reach out to other people for other confirmation. That's just a way. Try it. It might work for you.
And I think too, just to add to that, what I was feeling as you were describing that is also when you're actually asking your questions and trusting that the answers that you're getting, do trust it. Don't keep pestering spirit because it doesn't match what you want. Okay?
Because they're likely to throw their arms up in the air and go, stuff this, you're not listening.
Yes.
Yeah. And that could be a big thing because sometimes we get told the answers, whether it's us delivering to people asking the questions or they're getting the information themselves. They're not ready to hear the answer they get, so they don't take it on board. You know, each week we get I noticed on Wednesday nights, and I think I had a bit of a rant about it last Wednesday night, the same people ask the same questions every week. And I know I've been answering them, and I actually Spirit got frustrated with it and just went, you know, the patterns, the repetitiveness to it, you're obviously not listening, sort of thing. So
it was a very valid thing to say because Spirit does kick in with those messages for us to pass on. It's not always their own opinion.
That's it.
What Spirit's kicking us into, like being woken up at 4 this morning. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. So, and I'm just looking at what Latika has put there. Thank you heaps. I'm so thankful for the gift. It really is a blessing in disguise, just like my unseen loved ones. And it actually is. It's that gratitude that what we can actually tap into is a marvellous, it's a tool to use, not abuse.
Definitely. Oh, exactly.
Yes, it is a gift. Like each and every one of us has the gift of being able to use what is a natural thing within our own realm of being.
Yes.
So if we feel that we have the interest and desire to move into doing psychic work, mediumship work, all the clairs or whatever form of tool you want to use, you can. You be open to it and learn about it, or just it's almost like turning on the switch and start exploring. Experience it, ask other people questions. Give classes, whatever way you feel led to actually learn and grow and develop more.
Yeah. As much as, you know, you could question whether it's a gift or it's an ability. It's both, I think. But at the same time, as much as, you know, it is a wonderful thing to have, it also comes with its negatives. So, like Ros been waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure she would have chosen to be waken up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But it is finding a balance. You've got to take the good with the bad, and that's life in general, sort of thing, for a lot of us. So, you know, for me, because I quite often will spend time working on cold cases or missing people and stuff like that, some of that stuff that you can see can be quite gruesome, sort of thing, in that side of it. But I'm very good at being able to switch off to a lot of that stuff to a point, okay? And I thank my mum, if mum's watching, because she was always the mother on the side of the basketball court yelling at me what to do and not to do. I learned how to block her voice out, but I could hear the coach's voice quite well, sort of thing. So she'll have a go dig at me later about that.
Well, isn't it one of those wonderful things, though, as we ourselves, you know, we live in our families, we're children and grow up, and we sort of hear what our mums and parents do, our grandparents, without that consciousness around it because we're children. But once we start getting into that adult mode, you know, doing adulting, that we ourselves know we need to be heard because it's the safety thing if we tell someone to stop and things like that.
Yeah.
It's that acknowledgement. The whole process moves through and through and through its cycle, and I don't know where I was going with that. But it's sort of, I don't remember why I started saying that. What did you say to start with? It was
the positives and the negatives of having the ability.
It's what we have. I mean, we are who we are because this is what we chose to be in this lifetime, and we actually do have a responsibility to follow through. It's why I'm mentioning it, because it's not just a cycle of automatic, because we're children, we grow into adults, we have our own kids and grandchildren and whatnot. Every action does have its consequences, but it's our responsibility to act as genuinely to who we are, so that you know, the meshing of what the jigsaw puzzle of life is and the synchronicities that happen will be smoothly into that whole realm of what's the best for the overall fit, you know, for what is the global connection, the global humanity and everything that happens, moving that forward. So, I mean, it is the bigger picture as well as our small part that we play in what is our life, our little world.
That's it.
Global, everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that come across as being sense?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yeah, did to me.
I sometimes start using the mouth without the
and that happens a lot.
Channeled.
Yeah, but I find I do that a lot. Like Wednesday night, I remember going off on a rant, and what triggered that rant, what I call a rant at the moment, I need to go back and actually watch that segment of Wednesday night show to actually know what I said. But through the week, like I've been having healings myself with somebody. She said something, I went, I'm sure that's what I said last night in my show. Sort of thing. There's just little things that are happening, or somebody says that triggers, and I go, I reckon that was part of my rant the other night, but was channeled by spirit, sort of thing. So I must go back and watch it, and I must watch a reading I did last night for somebody on Zoom, because we literally had spirit coming in and speaking. Her and I could both hear it. So I'm hoping the recording actually picked it up.
Oh,
so I'll have to share that. Mind you, the first word was piss off. It wasn't a very nice feeling to it to start with. So
it's interesting, as we have already sort of summarised a little bit of where our journey started, what we remember of our journey starting and things like that. When you say, you know, the words were probably piss off, it's one of those things that just in the last week chatting with, and I can't remember who, not important, but it was along the lines, how did we start? I've been revisiting the idea of seance, and most times when you say that word seance and Ouija board to someone, they sort of look, oh no, naughty,
yeah.
you know, it's crap, it's bullshit, it's whatever else their opinions are around it. But it's still, and I sort of thought it's interesting the reactions we have about our conditioned beliefs around something that is still just a tool. When you look at a Ouija board, it's just a board that's got letters and numbers. That's it. Probably a centre shown in it. It's just a tool, like cards are, like crystals are, like runes are, like anything. It's just a tool that helps focus and refine what you do. Seance is, and I still don't fully understand it. I played with it when we were kids. It scared the shit out of us. So I haven't touched it since, but it's been resurfacing, as I don't know why yet, but it's something that's there. I need to understand. If you don't understand something, find out from others. Search for the answer within yourself first. Ask there first, because that is where the idea first triggers. You know, why has it come up? You know, what is it about it that I'm meant to be finding out? Is it something I'm supposed to be doing? You know, not just for seance. This is just something that crops up in your mind. For those who are questioning, I feel like I've got this gift, but I don't know what to do next.
And like you said, you know, the Ouija board and stuff like that are a tool. Now, I can understand with the Ouija board, to me, that is a powerful tool. And I've played with one a couple of times, but I have totally trust the person that I'm doing it with. If you mess with that stuff and you don't know what you're doing, you can say, and if you're a negative person, you can certainly open yourself up to that negative, that heavy, dark energy sort of thing. But if for Roz and I would sit down in a heartbeat and play with the Ouija board with Roz, because I know I'm going to protect myself and I know she's going to do it, and we're doing it out of the heart, not the ego sort of thing. So, if you want to open yourself up to those dark identities, they're certainly going to come knocking on your doorstep if you give them permission to do it. But
it's not even knowing that you've given them permission.
That's exactly.
Anything that crops up in your mind, there's some reason why the mind has thought of it, because the mind is still part of you and that inner source of knowing, because if it didn't come forward, you don't need to know about it.
Yeah, that's it. And so if you've got somebody, when you said that, Roz.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you finished then. Sorry, Han. When you said that, Spirit just reminded me, if you've got somebody that is fearful of that because of the stigma or whatever reason around it, the energies are going to feed off that fear sort of thing. So, it's finding a balance.
It's like anything. I mean, even as basic as using a computer, most people now will know how to use a computer in its basic sense, because they've been around since, I was sitting in front of one from 1982. Fully pregnant, 6-7 months pregnant, typing programs into a computer. So that is the start of when I used and when most were. I was always a gadget person, and you knew then at that point in time, you learn the tool that you're using. And it's like with anything. If you're interested in doing some cooking with a particular gadget in the kitchen, you learn how to use it. You follow the instruction book, you find out as much as you can. You get on a Facebook group and find out from others, whatever else. Kmart pie cookers, pie makers. That's one I know of, because like Tony's on that one, because he's got a Kmart pie, or a pie maker. Makes excellent pies. You just learn and you follow through with where that interest is flowing. If you lose interest or there's something that doesn't gel with you, either you're going to persist through that, if you've got that passion to find out, or it means you were going down the rabbit hole. Just let that one drop. It's that type of thing.
That's it. Yeah. I see Lynn's working on her clairs. It's just practice, honey.
Yeah.
Know what each clair does and how it works, and just keep practicing. For me, I use most of my clairs. My hearing is one that comes and goes. So, we usually have 1 or 2 or 3 strengths, more stronger clairs, is what I find in a lot of people. So just practice. Yeah.
Phenomenon.
Yeah. So
and I think this is where you do sum it up a bit there, getting the major wake-up calls. A lot of us move into this, or whatever interests us, it is because you have a major wake-up call.
Yep.
And, you've woken up to your spiritual plane. The is there that you've made as soul contract. That's one of my beliefs that I hold, is that we all have a contract that we've made at the soul level before we came into this lifetime.
I strongly believe that.
We find that out when we get back there. And how much we've achieved.
That's it. We're working on writing a book at the moment, so there is a bit in there about soul contracts.
Yeah.
So,
look, it's all published as it does eventuate. And the one thing too, even with this show and the chat that we've had, I love it. I really enjoy the company. I just noticed we've gone past the hour. We haven't really done much in the way of readings, but I'm not apologising for that.
No, time goes really fast, and we lose ourselves when we talk about this stuff.
And I think really, as far as having a chat, which way is the best way to learn? It's from each other. This format where we can join together as 2 people just having a chat about things that interest us, because that's our connection. Oh, and a few other things. But it is certainly around our psychic mediumship that I've grown heaps by getting to know you, because that's how I did my course with Elisa Williams, was because you hosted it, and all the other little steps that were in that pathway to get to be really good friends with you and grow. And that's what each and every one of us has as our experience, whoever it is we're connecting with and whatever our interests are. Just go with the flow of being connected. Since we stop that connection and become the absolute hermits with absolutely no connection at all, we'll stagnate and shrivel.
Yeah. I totally agree. And
blossom.
That's it. And when we sit in that energy and focus on us like that, I think we draw the like-minded people in, sort of thing. We find, I call it the soul family. We have two soul families. I believe we have the blood-related family, and then we have our spiritual family as well. And, for me over the years, like Ros is a part of that and a few others, it's like there's no expectations. We just gel together. We flow off of each other. We all have our little bits and pieces we do, but we come together and it's really balanced and we support each other. We might not pick up, like, I don't think I've really spoken to you probably most of this week, but we pick up like it was yesterday, and then we can have days or weeks we talk every day. So, and it's what it is. And I love it. I'm grateful for these people in my life.
Yeah. I'll have to talk with you afterwards. Okay, we do have a little bit of chat.
Yeah, that's it.
To let today's session complete.
Yes, otherwise we'll be here all day.
And it has been, unfortunately, without doing many readings, but that's fine. It's as it is meant to be. So thank you, everyone, for being here in the live stream. Thank you for coming across from the other cross-posted ones that we eventually did, that Leanne did for me. And thank you even to those who might be watching as a replay. It is wonderful to have this technology, that we can share our time and our understanding of life in the way that we do.
Yeah.
Because really that's what we're sharing. We're sharing our understanding of life and the spirit world as we do.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you want to learn more, Ros is running a course at the moment on the cards in that side of it. I've got my online beginners 1 level. It's still discounted as April's 35% off, because that's something on my list I haven't got back to change. So if you're quick getting in on that, but hopefully in the next couple of days, I am looking at teaching that beginners level 1 online as a Zoom 2-day reading with a group of people, 2-day workshop sort of thing as well. So I'm probably going to look at July with that. I offer payment plans if people want that as well.
Yep.
So.
All good. So, and we do have the next Lifestyle Psychic Wellness Expo is on June 7th on the Sunday. That's that 6-hour one that we're planning ahead for. So there is just messages if you're interested in being a stallholder or a sponsor as well. I haven't done the marketing. That's where marketing and me is just, what's that word? By the by, we'll say goodbye for today. And we'll be back again next week at 10:30 Australian Central Standard Time, which is Adelaide time, on mytimetv.live. So thank you, and hopefully we'll have it cross-posted properly first. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you, Leanne.